All right, let's dive into the new changes with commissions and real estate agents. This is going to affect home buyers, home sellers, and realtors, so you better stay tuned to figure out what's going on right now. Okay, so I'm going to break it down into 3 sections. First, we're going to talk about how things have been. Then we're going to talk about how things are as of today, which is, I think it's July 5th today. And then we're going to go into what anticipated changes we're thinking are going to happen. Okay, so a little bit of context. For some reason, a certain amount of sellers started a class action lawsuit against real estate agents in Missouri, stating that they were basically colluding to have artificially high real estate commissions. And what they were saying is that currently, the seller pays the listing agent's commission, and they also pay the buyer's agent's commission. And essentially what they said is, hey, we don't believe we should have to pay the buyer's agent's commission. This was misrepresented to us. We think the buyers should pay their own commission. So we're going to sue all these brokerages. And essentially it was just a massive money grab. Now, this is super interesting to the rest of realtors around the world. For example, us in California, has always been absolutely clear in writing, in a legal document, that the seller pays for the seller's commission. They can choose to pay for the buyer's agent's commission, but they don't have to. If they don't, buyers' realtors are just not going to show the buyers their homes. And that is a certain thing that people choose to do. We call it a for sale by owner, and typically they stay on the market for 6 to 12 months. So that works out for some people. But essentially, this is how real estate commissions have been up until now. So I started in 2009 during the Great Recession. We're now in 2024. And during that time, when I would go to meet with a seller to list their home for sale, the seller would agree to a commission amount, and they would also agree to a commission amount for the buyer's agent. That means if I list the home, I get a certain fee. The realtor who brings the buyer will also get a certain fee. Now, you would be surprised, most consumers don't know this, the chances of us representing a buyer on one of our listings is insanely low. It's like 10% of the time. Most of the time, we're counting on cooperating with the other brokers and the other realtors in town to have them show our listings. So we'd meet with the seller, we'd outline, here's the total commission, this much will go to the selling agent, the listing agent, and this much will go to the buyer's agent. Typically, that fee is anywhere between 2 to 3% on each side. So anywhere between 4 and 6% total commission, not including your closing costs. So that's how it's been up until now. What this has created is an environment where we have a very symbiotic relationship with home buyers. When we represent home buyers, the seller is paying for our commission. So we work in their best interest. They don't have to pay us anything. We give them free consultation, free advice, and we could spend months with somebody, but we know that if we spend months with them, we're going to get paid. So it's like a really good, it's a good relationship. We are basically advocates for them. So that's how things have been. How are things as of today, July 5th, 2024? Well, there was a settlement, and there are certain changes that are supposed to be taking effect. They haven't taken effect yet. So as of right now, when I'm showing buyers homes, the listing agents are still advertising in the multiple listing service how much commission I make. And I know if I show that home, I have some certainty that I'm going to get paid, right? Keep in mind, this is an all commission job, okay? All commission, it takes us about 90 days to get every client. So it's not like a widget, like we're selling a widget, we can sell 15 widgets this week. By the time I meet with a buyer, educate them, show them homes, write offers, go through the escrow process, that could take anywhere from 1 to 90 days. And it takes a lot of time to find the clients, right? We have to market ourselves. So with that said, there is so much risk involved in what we do. But as of right now, if I'm showing homes to a buyer, I at least know that I'm going to get paid and compensated for my effort. So here's how things are going to change. After all the settlement and everything that's happening, we're anticipating 2 changes. Number 1, they are going to remove the buyer's agent's compensation from the multiple listing service. That means when I show my buyer a home, I'm going to not know how much money I'm making on that home. I don't even know if I'm making any money at all. This is a really crazy change that totally negatively affects home buyers. We'll talk about that in a second. The second thing that is changing is that buyers are going to have to sign a representation agreement with realtors they work with before going and looking at home. You know, this is such a change to the traditional model because up until this point, you could go into an open house or you can call a realtor, you can have them show you homes, and it could be a pretty casual relationship. But if you, were to write an offer on the home, you could use another realtor, you could interview a couple of realtors, at open houses and stuff like that. But now you really have to find your realtor before you go out and start searching. This is kind of odd because I feel like most people won't do this. Most people don't want to reach out to a salesperson before they go and they look or research about the product. So I think this is going to create some interesting changes. But if you are a buyer and you are smart, you are going to want to find a really good real estate buyer's agent that you work exclusively with. And you want to find that person in advance of home shopping. So start interviewing realtors, maybe a month out from the time you think you're going to go out and start looking at homes. Now, again, most people, when they buy homes, do not plan it out that way. They go out and they look at open houses on a weekend and they see what's on the market, and typically they'll meet a realtor that they connect with and they'll work with that person. But now that model's being totally flipped on its side. So having a good real estate agent is going to be like having a good high-level consultant. The same way you have a good tax person, the same way you have a good financial advisor, you're going to want to get a really, really good realtor. You want somebody who has lots of closed sales, lots of experience, lots of vendor recommendations, and lots of verifiable reviews. Here's a tip. Look at their Zillow account. If they don't have at least 20 to 30 plus 5-star reviews, they are probably not a good real estate agent. You should not consider working with them. So those reviews are key because that's the only way you can verify what their clients say about them. Same way you look at other businesses. Okay, so these are the two proposed changes, taking the commission out of the MLS and basically making you sign a representation agreement before you go out and start searching for property. How will this impact home buyers? And then we'll talk about home sellers. Home buyers, this is going to impact you because one, you're going to need to meet with realtors far out in advance, interview and find one that you like. So that's kind of different from how things were in the past. Secondly, you're going to have to determine how much you pay your real estate agent from your own pocket. Now, I'm gonna talk to you about how I think things are gonna play out, my predictions, not necessarily saying I feel strongly about them, but this is just my best guess. But more than likely, sellers will still offer compensation to buyer's agents. They just can't list it in the MLS. So we'll actually have to physically call them and say, hey, how much are you offering? So silly that they're taking it out when all we have to do is call. But with that being said, most of the time, I still think they're gonna offer a similar commission. So what I would recommend doing is if you sign up with a realtor, outlining how much the commission would be, and if the home that you like is offering less commission than that, then maybe you allow your realtor to take what the commission is, and you might have to pay the difference. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in some further videos. But that is essentially, you're going to kind of have to negotiate with your realtor and see what they'll pay, or see what you're going to pay them. Now, with seller, also one thing that's going to change is, going to open houses. Now, you don't just want to go to the open house and talk to the listing agent. That person has been hired to represent the seller. That person's job is to negotiate against you, to make you pay the highest price and get the worst terms. That's not always the case. I've represented buyers on my listings. We treat them really fairly, but I am telling you that is the exception to the rule. Most real estate agents, if they are dual representing, do not have the skill, the tact, the grace, and the communication skills to be able to keep both sides happy and work for both sides fairly. Just being honest with you. So you're going to want to meet with a realtor before you go out and look at open houses, and you do not want to visit open houses randomly. You want to talk to your real estate agent before going to visit them. Okay, how's this going to change things for sellers? Honestly, I don't think it's going to change things for sellers much. The only difference is you were going to pay a commission to a buyer's agent before. Now, I still recommend that you pay a similar amount to a buyer's agent's commission. They're just going to have to call me in advance and ask me what that buyer compensation is, and they're going to have an agreement with their buyer that whatever that buyer compensation is going to be paid to the realtor. So for sellers, it might not change much. To be honest with you, it seems like a lot of hype. It doesn't seem like a lot of effective structural or intelligent change. So we'll just kind of have to see how things play out. So this is part 1. We're July 5th, and the changes are supposed to take effect probably sometime around August 17th. So click subscribe. Click get notifications for this channel and follow us for part 2 of this journey. Well, I'll be giving you some real details and scenarios of how the change goes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.